Christy Lister here with Beyond the First Response, and we're taking a shift in the way we do our podcast today. You heard me right. It's a shift. We are going to dual podcast in a way. You're going to listen to this portion first, if you're listening to ours, and our guest, Chris Morella from Fourth Shift Fitness, along with, he also is a podcaster, Tailboard Talks podcast. So you'll have to check that out on Buzzsprout. But here we go. I'd like to introduce you to Chris Morella.
So let's pretend it's your show now.
Okay.
We'll split this up half and half. I think we got just enough teaser out of your side, and we're going to keep talking about it. We'll keep volleying back and forth, right?
Absolutely.
So now you get to really be dazzled when I have no good answers for you on your basic questions.
Oh, but I'm good at pulling questions or answers out. Let's see.
Okay.
The exciting thing is, I know that we both live here in beautiful Illinois.
Yeah.
And not too far.
It's over 60 degrees today.
I know. Oh, I got out of the car and walked into work. It was 70 degrees, 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, wow.
It's awesome. We had to do a double take this morning. Nathan's like, I want to go outside and play in the puddles. We're like, no, it's too cold. My wife's like, it's 55. I'm like, get out there. Get your boots on and get outside.
Get dirty.
Yeah, dude.
Eat that mud.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So, but you're on the fire side, as we know, but you have it very intriguing. So we're both going to be, I'm assuming when you're speaking on behalf of your fitness training, Fourth Shift Fitness.
Right. Yep.
How does that, I know it's for firefighters, but I also know that in your bio on your website, you also talk about being for first responders. That's a whole different shift. You're shifting from making sure you're exercising and shifting to different first responder mindset.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
How do I open it up to the general first responder population? Yeah. So here's the sneaky thing about firefighters. Okay. We look like superheroes. We act like it. We believe in our heart of hearts that we are superheroes. God bless us. But we're really just people who happen to take a test in an auditorium and do well enough and get called for a job. So time and time again, what falls back to is the fundamentals and that we're all human beings. And really, unless you believe that zip up boots and blue cargo pants make you a superhero, we're just a person with a skill set, and that's the unfortunate part. Like that's the fall from grace part of it. So as much as I would love to say like, oh, I have the premier training method for firefighters in the country, which I believe I have a very effective training system for firefighters, the degree of separation between the needs of firefighters and the general population and all of the first responders is literally half a degree. And most of that half a degree is with very specific things like when you do the workouts, what intensity you do the workouts at, when you should pull back and rest. We have our own rules when it comes to that stuff. There's a couple different rules when it comes to our nutrition, kind of our hydration. Because of the shift work, our sleep schedule is a major factor in that we have to mitigate. So a couple other strings come with that. But in reality, you're just a bag of bones wearing a blue shirt. And so if you look at it in the global perspective, it's a large shift occupationally, but with the human body and the training philosophies and the methods, it's really not that different. So I have a group of friends in the tactical space and outside of it and just the strength world. And it's kind of a running joke of like, oh, this, because there's always people marketing towards fire and police, right? Yep. The tactical solutions, the hardcore stuff. It's all got the Punisher skull on it, right? With some form of red or blue inside the Punisher skull. And it's just the same stuff, or it's just goofy stuff, or it's gimmicky stuff. We're like, you could just, one of my favorite quotes is from Dan John. The guy's insanely frustrating as a strength coach. But he basically says like, I can have you go outside and throw dirt in the air for an hour a day and you're going to get in better shape. And that's the sad truth. Like everything works for 6 to 12 weeks, and anything more than you're doing is going to get results that you don't have already. So that's kind of the shift, right? The other is I don't want to limit. I don't want to exclude anybody that looks at my page and says, I really like what they're doing. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it, but I'm not a firefighter. So I guess I'm stuck. I don't want to take down that barrier of entry. So that's a simple reason for it, is that I don't want to not be able to help someone who is in need. But thankfully, that hasn't happened. I don't know if it's because of the specific verbiage on there or not, but I have a handful of training clients now that are all over the place, both in occupation and the country. So it's nice. There's been really no barrier to people reaching out and saying that they're interested in it.
Good. And that's huge because you offer online training,
Right.
which, makes that, I'm sure that a lot of that came around after COVID or during COVID. People got comfortable doing that, and they're not always comfortable in a gym. Now I was doing really good. COVID came and I have not been back in the gym, but then I was walking like 30, 40 miles a week. And then I switched jobs and I got 20 pounds I have to lose.
And not, yeah. And then
yeah. And now I was
so
like,
walking is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, walking is one of the most underrated and most beneficial for the time investment exercise you can do, more so than running, more so than a lot of things. There's a distinct line in the benefits considering that versus like strength training or a lot of other more intensive stuff.
I was getting definition like I was doing leg days by walking.
Yeah. I mean, it's gravity, man. Like you're lifting 100% of your weight on each leg every step, So there's a scene in Pumping Iron, old bodybuilding movie, right, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's talking about doing calf workouts. And he said to do an effective, I'm going to make up the numbers incorrectly. So there's going to be a handful of meatheads yelling at me for misquoting it, but he was putting like 800 pounds on the leg press machine to train his calves. And they're like, why would you put that much on there? He goes, well, I weigh 280 pounds. I needed at least double that to make any kind of effect towards my calves because they lift that on a regular basis. So I need to overload them with double or triple the weight.
Oh, true.
You're doing that. You're lifting yourself off the ground with every stride you do. So you're lifting your body weight essentially every single time with your leg.
True.
And then if you add a weight of any sort. So one of my favorite workouts at the fire station when I just feel like doing something is just holding a 20 or 25 pound dumbbell in one hand and setting the incline up a little bit and then just picking a speed that I want and going for a mile. And every minute or so you have to switch hands because your hand gets tired.
Yeah.
But just the demand on your body to keep moving while you're stabilizing, holding this weight that's kind of working in a zigzag on your body, and it's going to be ever kind of changing, and it's huge. It's absolutely.
I remember that, except I don't have a treadmill here anymore. I was walking outside. I get up.
We just talked about it. It's officially summer now.
I know. And officially, actually, since we're in April, thank you, News in the Morning, as I'm getting ready. April is walk month.
Oh, is it?
Advocating for walking and health benefits. So all over the country, there's signs that are that have a little QR code trying to get as many miles as you can in. And all these walks are being led by doctors to talk about the health benefits of lowering the blood pressure and, lowering your sugar and strengthening your heart. And that all started today. It was kicked off in New York.
Perfect timing.
Right?
Perfect timing. And it's one of those things where there's some people that'll kind of poo-poo it or be like, it's just walking. But in reality, and this is something that myself, Joe Galley, and Ed Zapp, a lot of people that are well respected in the health and fitness in the fire world, it doesn't matter. Like there's a big push right now for zone 2 cardio. And zone 2 cardio is like 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, right? And so that you do 220 minus your age, that gives you your max heart rate. Then you take a percentage of that to get your heart rate zones. For some people, zone 2 cardio might be just walking around the block, and it gets your heart rate up around 100 to 110, right? Yeah. For some people, they can run a competitive marathon pace and still be barely in zone 2 because they're so well conditioned, right? But that doesn't matter. You just go. That's why the beauty of heart rate zone training is you go into that zone regardless of what it takes. So now you're not comparing yourself to someone else or like you're not saying I need to run 5 miles in 35 minutes. You don't have that barrier on you. You're saying I need to be in this heart rate zone for 35 minutes, and the pace and the speed are what it is to make that successful. So this is something that Joe Galley and Annette talk about is meeting people where they are And if walking's where you are, then fucking go walk, man. Like it's
Yeah.
only going to make you better. It's only going to make everything better.
And I had the luxury working from home for 4 years. Well, longer than 4 years, but working from home for 4 years. And I could take my phone calls with me,
Right.
put my earbuds in. I'm doing business while
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic. I miss lifting. I do have a set, so I'm not gonna lie. I sold my set of weights right before COVID hit.
Oh, great
So
timing.
I know I'm like, I'm gonna get a new ones. I'm just gonna sell these. These are from the past and I need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Well, then COVID hit.
Yeah.
No weights to be found. And the one set that I did find, they're in, what is it, the kilometers or kilogram? What is
Kilograms.
yeah. So I'm like putting it on there, not even realizing that. I'm lifting like,
Heavy.
oh my God, I am so freaking out of shape. Holy God, help me.
Yeah, it's only 20 pounds. What's going on here? Oh, it's 45 pounds. Um, so let's tie this. I'll do the work. Tie this
Can
back
you
to my
give
talk.
me 1 second?
Yeah.
Hello? Yes. Good. I'm in the middle of a meeting. I am at the Essington office. Yes. All right. Thank you. Bye. I am so sorry.
No, it's all good.
This phone number kept calling, and it was like the fourth time. I'm like,
Come on.
God, is it? And it said like informative or something. I'm like, oh my God, is she in jail?
This is it. We jinxed it.
This is it. Yeah. I honestly, because they kept calling, I'm like, I gotta take that. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Because normally
Oh.
I don't. I'll look to see to make sure it's not the school calling, but she's
Yeah.
on spring break. So I knew it wasn't the school, but I'm like, oh God, this is it.
We're all good.
They were just asking me about my business card.
Oh my God.
I didn't know it was that important.
That's funny.
Yeah.
They're printing now. We got to stop the presses.
Work phone calls.
No,
Four.
yeah.
I didn't answer. I'll call you back.
Not even a voicemail, dude.
Oh,
Not even inquiry.
sorry.
So that by coincidence, you're going to draw it out of me. Excellent job doing that. This is a lot what my talk is going to be about at the conference. So right now, if you follow my page or the Spring for Change page on Instagram, we're doing Spring for Change. And it's all about spring, making good habits. I should start over. It started a long time ago because we did a thing called Devote December. And Devote December was with me and Annette Zapp from Fire Rescue Wellness. And we presented together at the Illinois Firefighter Peer Support Symposium. And we said, I called her up in I would say mid-November and said, hey, I think, geez. I just got a text from Katie. I told her I'm still on the call and she said, okay, I told Nathan we could get ice cream if he did a good job at the store. I'm assuming that means he did. I don't know.
Yeah. Either that or she just gave in.
I know. That could be it too. So we did Devote December. And Devote December was we're going to use the number of firefighters who committed suicide throughout the year and then do something using that number to draw awareness to it and also take action. And the goal was to do something physical with that number. So let's say 100 in December, by December, I committed suicide. We would make it 100 of anything, like 100 squats or 100 push-ups or jumping jacks. Now, the eventual hope for that was that you participate in it and then you say like, okay, after doing 100 squats, my heart rate's up and I feel pretty good. And then if you get into a point later on in your career or life where you're like, I feel really whatever, down, bad, blah. I remember when I did that program.
Blot it out.
Maybe I'll do some squats and it's a Band-Aid, right? But at least it gives you a little bit of something. And then maybe that triggers something else to go well or pick up another good habit. So we did Devote December. Went really well. But Annette and I both got itchy because it was an awareness campaign. And we felt like it's great that we're getting people aware of it, but we want to educate because we're both coaches. We both like educating. We both really think we're the smartest people in the room. So it's really awkward when we're together because we're both the smartest person in the room. Both have podcasts. It's a disaster.
So it'll be fun in South Bend, is what you're saying.
I don't think she'll be there, so I can shit talk her all I want, and she's not there to defend herself. So then we did Spring for Change because I went looking in again, general population statistics, because there's not a ton of first responder suicide statistics yet. And it said that, contrary to popular belief, we would have thought that suicide was highest in the winter months because of the weather, because of family get-togethers, because of all kinds of things. Statistically speaking, suicide rates are highest in the spring months. First 3 months of the year, it ramps up to a high peak, and then it kind of quells after that and comes to a dull roar through the rest of the year. Goes
I
to a
did
low
not know
point.
that.
Yeah, it goes to a low point in, now I haven't looked up in a few years, but this is what we based our Spring for Change off of. It goes to a low point around the holidays and then emerges back up in the spring months again. And so I was like, well, we kind of screwed up that one. So let's make another campaign. So we did Spring for Change. Spring for Change is in April, 4th month. And then we identified the 4 pillars this month going on right now.
Yes.
Missing out on it if you're not doing it.
I got 5 days to catch up.
Yeah. What we're doing. So here's how we're doing it. There's 4 pillars that we identified: sleep, nutrition, movement, and mindfulness. So this week is sleep week, and Annette is taking sleep and nutrition this year, and I'm doing movement and mindfulness and stress reduction, stuff like that. So this week is all sleep week, and she's given tips on the effect on sleep on mental health, how shift work screws that up, how you get basically sacrificed, all your benefits get sacrificed by a lack of sleep. And all week long, it's just fact after fact and tip after tip of easily modifiable things you can do to improve your situation. Then next week will be nutrition. It's all about small changes. I mean, the smallest changes you can make are going to be the ones that we're going to try, right? So I don't know what her nutrition talk is, but I'm going to guess it's going to be like, try your best not to eat so much bad stuff after a certain time of day when you know you shouldn't. And that's
even
the
though
tip.
You're on midnights.
Yeah. But that floats, right? That's the nice thing about it, is like, keep a mental tally. If you know you've eaten a bunch and it's really not been too good, be a little bit better for the next 6 hours. That's the depth of the tips we're given. That's like,
it's simple.
It's simple, but it's realistic too, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest frustrations that myself and Kurt, the guy I work with who does a lot of podcast episodes with me, is that we are such suckers for fads and for gimmicks and for programs. Keto, paleo, Whole30, 75 hard. I think that's it, right? 75
it
hard.
is. I have the book that I haven't read yet.
So it sounds great, right? But
right.
It's so extreme. All of it's so extreme that it's like that whole equal opposite reaction thing. It's going to fall down so hard. When in reality, you just got to pay attention a little bit, or that's the best thing you can do.
6 to 12 months to make the change permanent.
Oh yeah. And then that's the dangerous part, because then you're like, oh, I got a hold of this thing. I can party once in a while.
Right.
And then you have to keep chasing it, right?
And only 30 days to cancel it out.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, for a normal person, for us ADHD heads, it's like, what was that thing I was doing for the past 2 years of my life? I can't remember.
Was I doing that for 4 years? Where did that go?
Yeah, I feel like I did something that was good, but I'll figure it out. So sleep, nutrition, movement. I'll be doing movement and stress reduction, and it's the same stuff. It's like walking, right? Hey, if you think you're at a level where you can walk around the block 5 times, carry something that weighs 5 pounds and walk around the block 5 times. That's it. That's the extent of it. We'll go through all the prerequisite stuff, like here's the benefits of it, here's why you should do it, blah, blah, blah. But both Annette and I openly say, like, we're not selling anything anymore. Like, we're not trying to convince people anything. Well, we're definitely both selling stuff. We don't try to convince people anymore, because that's a loser, right? But I'll give you as much information as I can. If you want to pick up some of it and it works for you, then that's a huge win.
And guess what? If it's not going to work for you, it might work for the person that's sitting there going along with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the generic stuff for everybody, that if you take up a piece of it, then we'll all be better off, right? Now, the last part is the mindfulness and stress reduction one. That's a tough one, because not a professional when it comes to that stuff. But that stuff is probably the most intimidating. It's probably the farthest out of our comfort zone. And there's no better person to dumb it down than yours truly. So it's like, hey, here's this. I'm gonna endorse a lot of things that are ridiculously simple, because those are the things I can remember to do the most. there's a wheel that we got from the AFFI thing. And it's a rainbow wheel with
It's
all
an
different.
emotion wheel.
It's exactly what it is.
I know.
That'll be on there. A little gratitude journal that I got for $3 on Amazon, and it spells it out. And it's this big. So there's not room to write a ton of stuff in it. And that's the beauty of it. You get one sentence. That's it. And it has, what are you thankful for? And it gives you 6 options. And then why? And it gives you 2 lines. And that's it. And just little stuff like that. We're going to tie back all that stuff to mental health. And that'll be kind of so that's this month. And that's also what I'm going to recap then at the conference we're speaking at.
And May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Right. So it bleeds right into that.
Perfectly.
So yeah, we got this whole thing going.
Good. I'm going to have to check it out. I did not check that out, but I definitely will.
Yeah. And it's just simple, man. Like there's so much goofy, complex stuff going on. That's just so simple. And it's, some people don't like it. Some people need a gimmick to get involved with it, you know?
But so the competitive thing you have to be is competitive with yourself and prove to yourself that you can go past that simplified action.
Yeah. Well, and so that's the beauty of it, is you can gamify it as quickly as you want to.
Yeah.
So if someone comes to me and says like, well, walking's not hard, I'll say, well, then time yourself with a 25-pound weight and report that back, and I'll put it up there and I'll show you off. But then you better do that every week and beat it. Like gamify it, then go for it.
I would sit there and have a routine. Yeah. I had my routine and I'd be like, okay, I'm cutting 5 minutes off.
Yeah.
And then when my boyfriend walks with me and then we're 3 minutes slower walking, I secretly like, what the fuck?
Slug. So here's a great example is I live just outside of town, so I can ride my bike to almost any station. Out of 7 stations, there's 2 that are just too sketchy to get to. The station I worked at was 7 miles away. So it was about half an hour in the morning. And I would get there and the same guy would kind of give me shit every morning for riding my bike, you know? And so I said, and he lives right behind me. He lives like a block south of me. So I told him, like, you could ride your bike too, but it would take you 2 hours to get here. So unfortunately, we'll never see your bike. And so I kept riding in. He kept giving me the business. I kept giving it back to him. 2 months later, he's like, hey, I found my bike the other day. I'm like, why? What's the point? You're just going to sell it? Like, we just kept going back and forth. I'm like, scrapping the thing, need some extra cash. Got to the point where a month later, he was riding his bike in because I bet him a day's worth of meals. He couldn't get to work in under 45 minutes. So he was up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you.
So that led off. It was a 2-month process, right? But you goat this guy into it. I bought him meals for a couple shifts. He bought me ice cream for a couple shifts. Like we just kept going back and forth.
Because he's trying to slow you down.
Right. Right. But over the course of 2 months, you know, I don't want to say it worked, but then I would open like, yeah, I tricked you into being healthy for a summer. He's like, you didn't trick nothing. And then just we go back and forth. But it's simple, right?
I don't think they have the MS 150 anymore. But it was for MS. It was a fundraiser for MS, 150-mile bike ride.
Yeah, yeah.
And get into that.
Oh, yeah, right. No,
I swore all the way through it. I'm like, I'm never doing this again.
That's a long bike ride.
It sucked.
That's a long bike ride. I'm looking at doing like a 50-mile one in Nebraska in August, September. And I'm like nervous about that one.
A lot of hills.
It's a gravel ride. So it's going to be mostly like gravel and limestone and some roads.
Well, that stuff is fun.
It's supposed to be pretty awesome. So I'm getting for that one. But that's the kind of thing, like it's simple. I'm not afraid to use dirty tactics once in a while to get people to have a good time and to ride his bike. So he rode his bike in 5 or 6 times over the course of the summer, you know. But now that same guy, he'll tell me like, yeah, as soon as the weather breaks 75, I'm riding in again. He's like, I'm a fair weather rider. But he's like, I liked it. He's like, I had a good time. I liked the way it made me feel. He's like, I started kind of working out since then. I started eating a little bit better because I definitely don't want it to hurt so bad in these hills coming out of the river valley that we have. You have to cross the river, the Fox River, to get there. So it's like 7% at some points to get out of the valley. And
that sucks.
And then
that's where I would get off my bike and just put it on my shoulder.
Well, and he's been on the job for 24 years, 25 years. So he knows the city inside and out.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, hey, I'll ride home with you. We're going to go down Jackson today instead of Crystal. And he's like, why are we doing that? I'm like, it's just quicker. And it's a massive hill.
When I lived in Aurora and I worked in Burr Ridge, I would ride my bike. Except Route 53 in Hobson,
Oof.
there's a hill. I'm like, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to get off of it because
Yeah.
no.
You gotta know your limitations. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still
I'll ride down it on the way home, but
you're
I'm
still
not
in
going to ride
danger.
up it. It's too early in the morning.
Yeah. There's definitely that part of it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being safe. Um, so yeah, that's my talk.
I'm excited to hear that and the importance of knowing and teaching family too, because isn't it that your family is a first responder? They're serving invisibly with you, next to you, which you'll hear me talk about that in more detail and the realization of it that they probably don't realize it right now. But once you're on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
it's incredible at how much. So it's giving them the tools, and those are even tools that you can start giving your kids. And that helps them by giving them those healthy coping mechanisms. They're going to be able to turn to doing the squats, going for that bike ride instead of which vape pen am I going to grab?
Yeah.
What Snapchat am I going to hook up with? That those things are unfortunately very real unhealthy coping mechanisms that can be changed
Yeah.
and normalized to go for that walk instead of that vape pen, instead of meeting up with people.
I mean, it's scary to think about, it's scary to think about the amount of work we have to do with our kids.
But it starts at home with conversations that we as first responder families, I mean, you guys are a little bit younger than me, but we as first responder families didn't have the tools to do and weren't told. We thought we had, I thought I had all the right tools. I'm there. I'm a good listener. I'm 100% loyal and supportive. But at the end of the day, I was not prepared for a quiet, cold house of there's this body here and that's what it is. And I don't know what to do with this except become angry and hurt and misunderstood and not able to function as a wife, as a parent, as a employee. So we can make difference little bits at a time. Your kids are getting those little bits now.
Well, I appreciate the encouragement, and I'll just put that on a loop because my God, are they are they challenges, man? And I don't know, but I'm also glad I mean, it sounds like the work you're doing now with your kids. I mean, it just sounds like so much, and that must mean that it's the right thing to be doing, and that it's going to be hugely effective. Because if it didn't sound like so much, it probably wouldn't be the right thing, right?
It's hard. It sucks. It sucks because we failed them by not recognizing that we weren't doing what we needed to. And that being said, we don't know what we don't know at the time.
Right.
But given the fact that I do know now, it's hard work to do now, but I've seen the changes. So there's hope that it will overcome all of it together.
Do you ever look back then? So do you ever try to draw positives out of it? Like, do you ever say, and I don't, this is another one, I don't mean to speak out of school or anything like that. Do you ever say like, well, at least they weren't 5 years old when this happened? Or so does that I don't know, does that happen? Do you draw positives because of it? That like, okay, at least we can have adult conversations with them now to mitigate what's going on, or at least identify it instead of figuring that out as we go. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I would, if you guys want to know what happened between Dad and I, you need to know it wasn't you. When you're an adult, if you have questions, that's when I will answer them.
Yeah.
Obviously that chance never happened. But now I'm like, I'm going to give you, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the honest answer. Now there's some things that I'm just not going to honestly answer.
But you're still answer honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm not going to speak on your dad's behalf.
Right.
On some of those things.
Yeah.
But you ask me things, I'll say yes or no, but I won't go into details on things that he can't necessarily explain choices that were made. right? That's not
Yeah.
fair.
Right.
And they can't. And again, at the end of the day, looking back, it makes sense now because he was struggling.
Yeah.
Because that's not the person who I met when he was a year on. That's not the person who I chose to marry and have 3 children with. That's the circumstance of lack of tools to keep him as close to that person, because we all change every day. Every day we walk out the door, we're changing. Each and every one of us. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how old you are, you come back a different person. But it's how you react to what has happened to you when you're out there that day. And that's a huge positive. It's a hard pill to swallow that we didn't know that before, but now's time to have the conversation to make it normal.
Yeah. Well, it sounds, and you're the person to do it. You're the person to do it. I mean, I guarantee you didn't see yourself as that person, but I feel like just from the um, hour and 20 minutes we've been talking, it was in you the whole time. Somehow to be that person. You've fallen into it with the organization, and now speaking to families in general while still doing the work on your own home front.
Yeah.
I certainly know people that wouldn't be in the cards, right? If that's just not their path, their skill set.
And that's okay, because they have a different skill set.
Right.
That whatever that is, if they're utilizing it and they recognize it in themselves, they're making a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah. Well, this will be fun. This will be fun in May. Oh, well,
We'll have to do a post podcast after.
we will. Yeah,
Yeah.
we absolutely will. I think so. What's not going to be in this episode is everything we talked about for the first 20 minutes before we hit record.
Because I didn't hit record.
Neither of us did. In the middle of it, I was like, crap.
I know. You know how many times I do that? I'm like, that was such a great conversation. What was I thinking?
We should start a podcast so we capture the kind of things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot in here. There's a lot in here. I've had one other person reach out from the conference so far, so I'll have them on. But I'm pumped for this. I'm really happy they reached out, and I'll be excited to see you there.
Yeah, I'm glad that you put it out there, because I never even would have thought to say, "Hey guys,
all right,
come
so
on the podcast."
What's wrong with us?
Like,
this has happened so many times in the past, year at least, where I'll be doing something and be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," blah blah blah, this and that, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Dude, I have a fucking business and a podcast I can incorporate into this so easily." And like, it would help everybody. And I'm just like, oh yeah, cool story. Like, it's just so frustrating. Like, I'm sitting here talking to my wife. I'm like, yeah, I got to find more guests for this podcast. And I'm like, it's just tough, like scheduling with people and all that. And she's like, aren't you speaking with like 10 other people in 2 months? I'm like,
like your wife.
Do you think any of them? Like, yeah, probably all of them.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Shut up with a good idea.
Oh my God, dude.
But now we'll both bring ours and we can double it.
It's beautiful. Yep. We could. Yeah. I don't know what kind of cable it's going to take to link them both together, but we'll make it happen.
Well, I've got a lot of cables, so I'm bringing them all.
Bring them all.
I'm driving, so there's plenty of room for cables.
I'll take it. With the fire department, I'm going to charter a helicopter because they give us the hero treatment.
Nice.
Maybe a pontoon. I don't know. Something cool.
Yeah.
But,
like a pontoon. Is that day drinking on a pontoon boat?
Yeah, we could just skip the whole conference in general. No, we got to do it. Oh man. So I just read it yesterday. Yeah.
Horrible.
I was like, well, guess we're doing a 10-minute one solo this time.
It's good. It's good. Well, thank you for coming on, because
yeah,
I learned a lot. I learned a lot now, and I was looking at your website. I definitely have to like dig in. I'm very competitive, and I got to get my ass off the chair and back walking or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so most of my stuff is on Instagram.
Okay.
Super active on there. I really suck at Facebook. I suck at LinkedIn. Because I just don't. I really need to be independently wealthy. That's what I need.
Right. I need to win the lotto.
That's exactly what I need.
Or if somebody wants to pay off my house, they could do that for me. It'd be really good.
See, I'm too dumb. I'd be like, I keep making mortgage payments. Just make videos for me. Like, that's how backwards my fucking brain is. I need someone. Here's what I need. I need someone who wants to work for free, or very, very low money, and then take all my ideas that I have and do them, and then
And
make
make
them
them
good
mine.
and make them awesome. So
Yeah.
like I want to do a whole series on what I do. I want to do video. I want to do video podcasts, but I can't edit that. I just don't have time to
I
edit
can
it.
teach you how to edit. If they run well and you take
Yeah.
a long enough sigh in between, you can split it right there and edit
So it's not, I think
a long
the
pause.
mechanical skill of doing it is fine, but the time of doing it is a struggle for me. The other thing I want to do is, and it's only because of the fucking kids. The only
Right?
thing I want to do is I want to do video workouts, like have my guests come over, like have you come over and do a workout, then we do a podcast afterwards.
That
But
would
we're
be
going to
fun.
record the workout, like we'll record the training or parts of it, a training session and chop it up into like its own little feature, and then record the podcast right after or right before.
You're out of shape 50-year-old mortgage lender. Here's what you do.
Fuck out of here. And then it'd be like, I'd work out with you, so it'd be awesome fun. But like I tried to do it with a couple other guests but it's so much. You gotta have microphones and a video and all kinds of shit that I
But those
can't.
microphones, you could do the clip on microphones super cheap.
Oh, they're the best. Like I would get the,
$20.
I already have them picked out, but still taking all that, putting it together and then making something stretch. And then what I want to do is also basically a cribs series, but for fire department gyms. And I would even roll in like police department gyms eventually too. Like show me around your facility that you're so proud about. Like show me all your stuff, where you guys, and just do like a cribs episode of fire department gyms because most of them have them.
Yeah.
And they run the full gamut. Like we have 2 stations that are newer and they have like a fully decked out gym. Then we have 3 stations that are older. And they have like mismatched homegrown shit in there, which is awesome in its own way,
Right.
The other 2 are kind of fucking weird in the basement, but
The prison gym.
yeah, but they're all different, right? Like you're gonna
Yeah.
have a different personality with each gym, which is awesome. So it's like a peek into that station and that crew a little bit. So I want to do all that stuff. So basically what I want to do is go film it and give someone hours of shit to do and then have them do it, make it awesome.
Yeah.
And pay them very little.
That's where you get a college kid going to one of the local junior colleges for production.
We have ECC right here. Yeah.
Yeah. See, they would do it.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Absolutely. You call over there and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do.
All right. I got to look them up.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I need someone to make those calls.
Yeah. You bring me some mortgages in.
If you're looking awesome. Sounds
All
good.
right. All right.
All right. Well, thanks again.
You're welcome. We'll see you later.
All right. See you.
Thanks. Bye. We are excited to be able to start our day with Badge Brew Coffee. Hey, Robin, did you know that Badge Brew has a new charitable badge collab roast?
Hey, Christy, I thought I heard that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's called First Response Roast with a spicy, smooth, medium roast with flavor notes of spice cake and citrus undertone.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And if that doesn't tempt our audience, a portion of the proceeds go to First Help. Oh, and don't forget, they're first responder family owned. Whether you're on day shift, night shift, or the shift of raising your family, Badge Brew has your coffee ready and waiting.
So let me ask you, what's your badge of honor? Find out by going to badgebrewcoffee.com and order yours. If you want the first response roast, click on Charitable Badge Collab. I know I am.